for joining. There are people here from all over the world looking to launch venture capital firms, and we are all for it. So before we get started, I just wanted to quickly introduce ourselves. So my name is Myrto Lalikos. I'm a senior associate at VC Lab, and I'm joined by Brett Sagan, who's a venture associate at Desal Group, which is the parent company of VC Lab. And you'll hear a lot from Brett in just a moment. So it's great to be with you today. We're doing this session for you, everyone. So if you've been here before, you know that if you have questions, you want to put them into the Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom screen. There's a chat section, and that's where you can kind of chat amongst yourselves, but we only look to answer questions that are asked in the Q&A. So if you do have questions for us throughout this session, put them in the Q&A, not the chat. And then, in between kind of what we're discussing here, go and look at the questions and upvote the ones that you like the most or that you'd like to see addressed by myself or Brett later in the session. So with that out of the way, I wanted to kind of talk about Desal Group a little bit, which is VC Lab's parent company. Desal Group develops a range of industry-leading services and offerings to transform venture capital into an ethical force for good. So this includes VC Lab, as I said, it's, Desal Group is its parent company. And, we have Desal Capital amongst the Desal Group, which is a fund of fund, one of the very few fund of funds that invests in new and emerging managers at very early stages of kind of their life cycle. We also have Desal Hub, which is the kind of leading SaaS platform for managers building venture capital firms, and it kind of helps managers all the way from fundraising to fund deployment to communicating with LPs and a ton of features, reporting, compliance, accounting, the list goes on, and it's a very cool tool, and we'll be kind of talking about this in just a moment and how it's relevant for you guys. So let's kind of bring it back to VC Lab here, because I know a lot of you here kind of are familiar with VC Lab. You're probably familiar with our programs, and you're probably looking to launch a venture capital firm. So just by way of kind of, reminder for everyone, VC Lab is the world's leading accelerator for venture capital investors. We're looking to democratize the asset class. We want to make it more global, but more importantly, we want to turn it into a force for good in the world. So to date, we have accelerated nearly 500 firms all around the world. We're working with about half of the world's new funds, which is an insane kind of statistic, right? So every year, VC Lab works with half of all the firms that are launching globally in the world. So it's our reach is very big. And we're doing this because as venture capital investors, we have a huge responsibility for what the world is going to look like. And we want to be working with the most ambitious new managers out there, directing funds where they will create the most impact, and where they'll start to create the changes that we all kind of want to see on the planet going forward. So that's what we're all about. Right now, we have applications open for Cohort 15. So we've launched 14 cohorts to date, and we're preparing to launch the 15th cohort since kind of the inception of VC Lab. And Cohort 15 is a really, really exciting program for us because we're going to be making it faster than ever before to launch a venture capital firm and to get to a first close. And, with every cohort, we get thousands of applications, but only the best of the best make it onto the program. It's a very, very, competitive admissions process. And once you get in, getting to the end of the program is even more competitive. So, I mean, it's a really tough world out there for new VC managers. We're here to help, but we can only work with the best, and VC Lab is a closing program, right? So we're not a program for those of you that want to learn about venture capital or start a career or kind of, find a team member to launch a firm with. We're kind of past that stage. So VC Lab is a closing program, which means we are only working with people who are ready to launch their venture capital firm. In terms of how you get into the program, I will talk you through the kind of traditional path here. So if up to today, if you wanted to get into VC Lab, you had to submit an application, and we're actually going to share the application link because this is still kind of how we're going to be running most of our admissions, right? So we're going to share the link to the admissions kind of for cohort 15 in the chat. And I just want to tell you kind of how this works. So it's just a written application where we ask you to provide us with details about your background. We ask you what your vision is for the fund that you want to build. And we ask you to record a video where you tell us why you're uniquely qualified to pursue this firm and to build this fund. So the early deadline to apply is April 29th. And what this means is that if you apply by April 29th, you get priority review and are more likely to secure a spot in the program if you have kind of the profile that we're looking for. So obviously places are limited. We can, so if you submit by the early deadline, you have more chances of securing a spot. So this is the traditional way in. But today, we are thrilled to announce that we've opened up a new kind of track to getting into a VC Lab program. We call it, the pre-curriculum fast track, okay? And I want to tell you about how this is going to work. So in the fast track, what we're doing is that we're basically challenging you to show us that you have what it takes to be a top decile investor and let your work speak for itself rather than kind of your background, what you've done before, and kind of like, what you would have put down in the written application. So it's kind of, we're kind of saying, show us how good you are, basically. And so we're launching the pre-curriculum. We're going to put a link in the chat for this pre-curriculum. And it's kind of the focus of what we're going to be talking about today. So this pre-curriculum emulates what the VC Lab program is like. And it's designed to give you a head start on the program, give you a taste of what the program is going to be, but also walk you through the very first steps of raising a venture capital firm. And you're going to see when you open the link that there's, several kind of different areas that we guide you through for you to kind of go through and develop different areas of the firm. But I want to talk about two essential areas and two essential kind of aspects of getting started here and launching a venture capital firm. So the first one is to develop your firm's thesis. And I'm not going to say too much about it, but because the pre-curriculum is going to help you do this. But your thesis basically refers to your investment firm's philosophy or strategy for making investment decisions. So it will outline things like which market you're going to be investing in, which sector, what stage are the companies at, what geography you're going to be looking to deploy capital in. And then it asks you to also outline why you are the best person to create outsized returns for investors by investing in this space. So that's the thesis. We're going to help you. The pre-curriculum is going to help you, define your thesis or have a very first draft of your thesis. But your thesis is going to be changing, especially in the first kind of few months of running, kind of building your venture capital firm. And part of the process of kind of getting to the thesis is that you want to ask people for feedback. Because what happens is that if you have a good thesis, 1 in 5 LPs, so limited partners, people who invest in venture capital, will want to come into the fund. And so this is, this is a crucial first step for everyone that's, kind of at this stage now. So you're going to create your thesis. And then what you're going to do is that you're going to start testing it in the market. So you're going to be going to LPs, you're going to be going to people you know, and telling them your thesis. And in order to understand whether the thesis is resonating with the market and whether this is getting LPs excited, you will ask them to sign a non-binding commitment letter. So this non-binding letter of intent for venture capital is called a PACT. Okay, and maybe Shayla, what we can do is post a link to kind of, the PACT explainer page on our website as well, so you can read more about it. But it basically, it's a tool for you to use to understand whether an LP wants a position in your fundraise that you are carrying out. And yeah, and so that's kind of two very important kind of, elements, as I said, of starting a venture capital firm. And this is what the pre-curriculum is going to take you through. So we've provided this for you. And now the really exciting bit is that we're also going to give you, for those of you who want to kind of apply through the fast track, we will be giving you access to Decel Hub, which, as you remember, from kind of the start of the session, Decel Hub is the leading SaaS platform that automates, basically all the back end in your venture capital firm. It's kind of the most widely used tool out there to run firms, essentially. And so today we have Brett Sagan, who is our venture associate, and he's going to show you some, really cool features that you can use to help get you through the pre-curriculum, to help you get those pacts out, get them signed, because all of what we talked about, you're doing all of this through Hub. So without further ado, Brett, welcome to the stage. Welcome to, I'm so happy that, we're doing this event together. Brett and I, we're kind of part of the same company, but, this is, I think, the first time that we're doing an event together. So I'm so excited. So Brett, over to you to kind of show everyone the power of Hub.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Myrto. So yeah, to get started, today I'm going to walk you through the fundraising pipeline in Decel Hub first. Then we'll discuss how to send and manage PACs in Decel Hub, along with some really awesome PACT functionality we have available. And then finally, I will show Decel Base, which is this incredibly powerful machine learning tool that's just helpful in so many different areas. At the end, each section should take about 5 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A where we'll be able to address some questions. So to get started, I'm going to share my screen, and this is just a sample Decel Hub account filled with, sample information, but it will resemble what you will see when you log into Decel Hub. So here we go. Okay. Perfect. So first, let's start by navigating to the fundraising pipeline. That can be accessed here on the left-hand side. Selecting Manage LPs there will bring you to this screen. And in this fundraising pipeline, you'll see different stages representing the progress and progression of an LP from that initial contact to eventually the investment into the fund. And each LP is represented as a prospect that moves through these stages. So, what's really important for you as a fund manager, hoping to reach the first close of your new fund, is having a tool that will allow you at a really high level to understand where your LPs are in the process of, investing in the fund, understanding their status, maybe potential objections. And that high level overview will allow you to focus on what's important, which is really building your fund, talking with investors, and not spending too much time on things like a CRM or managing potential LPs. Of course, there's other CRMs out there, like Airtable or Salesforce, things like that. But what I really, really love about Decel Hub is that it's purpose built for emerging fund managers for fundraising. And these core stages are sort of like the default stages that we include in Decel Hub that illustrate this process and is a really proven method to get LPs on a track from initial outreach to signed PACT to close in the fund. And it's really important to keep LPs on that track. So now let's discuss adding LPs or prospective LPs to the fundraising pipeline. There's a couple ways you can go about doing this. The first and probably most obvious is add prospect here in the top right corner. You'll add in some basic information about this LP, email address, some other key information, and then add them to this pipeline. You can also select the quick action down here, add LP, and then the third, there's also an import and export function for like CSV imports, which is incredibly useful as well. But the third way is also a Google plugin, which we've just launched that will allow you to add individuals to the fundraising pipeline in Hub when you're on like a different website, if you're like on LinkedIn, and that's just another tool to make your lives that much easier. So when an LP is added, they're often dropped into the added stage. And from there, you as the fund manager can move the LP through the pipeline to the following stage based on their progress. So for instance, I have added Hector to this stage. Now I want to begin initial outreach to Hector. I will select the checkbox here, change stage, outreach. I'll just show that one more time. Select box, change stage, outreach. Now, when Hector's in the outreach stage, I know that it's time to begin the initial outreach process, and I can send an email by selecting here, checking this box here, and clicking send email, or even initiating an email from here. And I'll dive more into those next tasks and potential automation available here as well as we continue. So yeah, it's really important to continue keeping this updated based on the progress of each LP. This will allow you to, again, understand where they are in the fundraising process. And for each stage, there are dedicated emails that we have available within Hub. Here, under LP emails, you can review the default core emails that we have in Hub. Now, don't be afraid that these are default messaging. These are proven emails that have worked to resulting in a significant amount of PACTs across many fund managers. So they're specifically designed in a way that is concise, clear, direct. So it's definitely something that you can just send off as is and don't feel the need to really customize all that much. That being said, this is always an opportunity to add your voice, add in some information about your thesis, link to your data room and your deck. And you'll see that we have some emails along those lines as well. So if you wanted to edit an email template, again, LP emails here. This is our introduction template. You can make your additions, click Save Template here. You can also send a test email to see what it will look like. These, very briefly, are called variables and allow you to sort of create an email template that will apply across many LPs, so you don't need to adjust the LP's name every time. You can just use the variable, and that variable will capture the LP's name. So moving back to the fundraising pipeline, all of those emails and all of these stages can, if you'd like, include automated tasks, which are incredibly useful, incredibly powerful, and really makes it super easy for you as a fund manager to focus on what's important and not worry about sending emails all day. So if you'd like to adjust or activate or edit automation, select here under LP stages. This allows you to customize the stages to fit your fundraising process and automate tasks. So first, let's say you wanted to add a new stage, add stage here. You can name it whatever you'd like. You could even apply a color, and you can rearrange the stages as well to really make this fit your fundraising process. Now, opening all of the stages, you'll see those specific emails housed within each stage. And here's an example of really powerful automation that I'd recommend playing around with, turning on, and with the understanding that it is an automated process, so it will automatically send an email and that can't be undone. So you definitely want to test it and make sure it's the best fit for you. But for instance, when a LP is moved into the outreach stage, I can trigger the email to send, the introduction email to send immediately. So that means when I move an LP from added to outreach, this email will automatically trigger. Then let's say they stay in this stage, meaning that they haven't really interacted with the email, they haven't reached out asking for a meeting, they've been unresponsive. I can edit this to do 3 days after entering the stage automation. And you'll see we already have like the default automation set up, just not turned on. So this is a really powerful tool where you can just drop an LP into the pipeline. They can flow through the automation and seamlessly it can result in a signed PACT and then an LP in your fund. So there's a lot of really powerful tools here to make your life easier as a fund manager. Again, purpose built. And this fundraising pipeline will really be like the centralized location that you manage all of your fundraising. So that is the brief overview of the fundraising pipeline. And again, we'll answer questions towards the end, but I'm going to shift gears a little bit to discuss PACs. First, PACs, or Pledge Agreement for Capital Transactions, are a really, really useful tool to assist fund managers like yourself in securing firm commitments from limited partners. It's incredibly important that you understand who's hard circled, who's soft circled, who's actually committing. And there's flexibility in the PACT in the sense of it being a non-binding agreement, but there's also a lot of useful language in there that gets this LP on the track towards investing and really, really significantly helps with conversion rates and a sense of the LP sort of like buying in. Also, as you have not yet formed the fund and you do not have the LPA to send for execution, this offers, again, that sort of like sense of buy-in and allows you to understand who will sign the LPA when we send. And this is a really useful tool to forecast that. So again, accessing PACs, you can easily access PACs here on the left-hand side within the fundraising pipeline. This is sort of like the PACs central location where you can manage everything PACT related. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is the PACT URL. This is the custom landing page for the PACT for each one of your firms. And you'll see that it has some options where where the LP can select what they'd like to invest, enter their information, phone number, whether they'd like to invest as an individual trust, review, and then sign the PACT, all within this one page in Hub. And again, that is available here and here. Now, we definitely recommend customizing that page so that it doesn't have like a stock image and it allows you to sort of include some information about your fund. This is an excellent opportunity to talk about your thesis. So that can be adjusted here under PACT content. where you can change the header, the body. You can change the image. You can also include a video as well. So maybe if you have like a brief overview of the fund, that would be a great thing to add. Now, there is an opportunity to add additional questions. We generally advise against that. We just want to reduce friction and make sure the LP signs, and sometimes an additional question can add friction, but that is something available in terms of functionality. And then here under PACT settings, you can specify the specific amounts. Another really cool thing under PACT settings, some further automation. When an LP signs a PACT, you're going to want to track that, of course, within your fundraising pipeline. There is the send PACT stage, and then there's the following closing PACT stage, indicating an LP has signed a PACT and they're prepared for closing. All of that can be automated here so that when a LP interacts or signs a PACT, they will automatically be placed into the closing stage. And you can also send an email notification to yourself, which is useful. Yeah. So other things I wanted to demonstrate is, of course, the custom PACT functionality available by selecting here or here. And this is super useful if you're having a like one-on-one interaction with a specific LP and you're discussing specific amounts. You can send them a PACT with those specific amounts, and that really shows the personalized, it has their name on it as well, that personalized experience based on the conversation that you've had. We've seen that it greatly improves with conversion rates. So you can enter that information here, copy the URL, even copy a QR code, preview this PACT page, or click here to send that in an email or as an email. Other things, let's say you're meeting with an investor and they signed a PACT offline. You can take a photo of that as a PDF and upload that to Hub so that, again, you can track all of your PACTs and have an understanding of who is hard circled, who is soft circled. Lastly, as well, using this quick action tool, you can send a PACT or generate a PACT link, so you don't always have to navigate to this page, just making it super easy to access this key functionality. So PACTs and the fundraising pipeline, super, super important to have a deep understanding of that as you're working to achieve the first close of your fund. And yeah, I hope that this has been helpful. One more thing I wanted to chat about before we open for the Q&A, shifting gears a little bit to discuss decile base. So you may have heard some information about decile base, but it is our in-house, incredibly powerful machine learning tool that has been trained specifically on our materials to help emerging fund managers like yourself. So it's different than just like going to like chat GPT or something like that, because it's specifically like our version of what we'd recommend, and it is shockingly accurate and has a lot of different use cases. One is, of course, answering typical VC questions. What would you recommend for my management fee, for instance? Another use case is answering specific decile hub questions, like how do I add an LP to the fundraising pipeline? So I wanted to demonstrate both, and we'll sort of do a live demo of this. And a couple ways you can access base. First, this question bar up here, excellent. We also have decile base here as well. I'm just going to use this question bar for purposes of this demonstration. So I'll start with decile hub related questions, which might be super useful for people on this call, as this might be your first experience in decile hub. So for instance, how do I add a new stage to the fundraising pipeline? To add a new stage to the fundraising pipeline, navigate to the pipeline and click on the Add a New Stage button, usually located at the, yep, perfect. And now let's ask for a follow-up. Something along the lines of, so now I know how to add a new stage. I want to think like, what should I like call this stage? So what should I call a stage for LPs that do not sign the PACT, but are still potentially interested in investing. You could name this stage interested PACT pending or potential interest. I think those are both great ideas. Now let's take this one step further. Great. Please draft 3 emails for this stage. One for hard circled, one for soft circled, and one for LPs that have said no. So you can even use this as an email drafter. Again, just making your lives so much easier. And these are emails that I would have no hesitation sending. Of course, proofread them. You can adjust the language as well. And yeah, these look really great. You can also add those as an email template if you're happy with the language. So you've created the stage, you can add email templates. You can automate those email templates to send off. And yeah, one more thing I want to show. Great. But one of my LPs is Japanese. Can you translate to Japanese? And would you look at that? Unfortunately, I'm not fluent in Japanese, so I can't verify the validity of this, but I'm very confident it's a strong translation. Other things I wanted to demonstrate in Hub were, of course, management fee, or not, this will be the example I use, like what would you recommend for management fees, but VC related questions, not just Hub related questions. So what would you recommend for management fees percent across 10 years? Beautiful. And this is exactly right, exactly what we'd recommend. You can ask for a follow-up to dig in. You can when you click ask the community for a better answer, this is sent to a team of experts where there's actually a live person responding. You'll see under search results, similar questions may have been asked in the past, and these may have been asked and answered by verified experts on our team. For instance, this one. And you'll see that there's some back and forth, there's some additional questions. Here is the Decel base portal accessible here on the left-hand side with like all of the questions that have been asked and answered when you ask the community for a better answer. So definitely as a first step, always go to Decel base. It's just so incredibly useful. I use it all the time. And it's not only useful for VC questions, but also hub questions, and really play around with it, test it. It's shockingly accurate. And if you are concerned with any of the responses or question them, you can always ask the community for a better answer to get verification for that as well. So I know that was all quite a lot. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And yeah, I guess we'll open the floor for questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brett. That was amazing. Guys, it's insane how quickly Desal Hub has been kind of progressing, and the tool just keeps getting better and better. And it's crazy. I mean, Brett just kind of showed you some of the things that it can do, and there's a whole other backlog that we won't even have time to cover, even if we had 3 hours on this call. I mean, it's insane. So it provides you emails to send at each stage of kind of your relationship with an LP, from like first meeting all the way to kind of them wiring the funds. And I think, I don't know, how many touch points is that, Brett? Like 50, 60, and Decel Hub would be able to kind of
Oh,
write the right?
yeah, and it's just so powerful to be able to, like, as a fund manager, you don't have to really be worried about all of that. You can have this just robust system churning that all out. So again, you can focus on what's important. And part of the fun things about being a fund manager is, the deal flow, talking with portfolio companies, talking with your LPs, like really focusing on the impact you will have in the world as an emerging fund manager. You don't want to be mired in like drafting the minutia of an email and trying to figure out like, oh wait, this LP, where are they in the progress? What did they think? Like, Hub creates a system that facilitates a really easy method for all of that. And yeah, it's great to work with.
Yeah, no one starts a venture capital firm thinking, oh, great, I'm gonna fundraise. So yeah, and Hub just takes care of all of that. It's amazing. It's amazing. It also tells you, so Desktop Hub also tells you when a pact is about to expire. And this is kind of something that we're not going to go into a lot of detail, but a pact has a, you know, kind of an expiration date, because, you know, you kind of spoken to an LP, you've got them all hyped up about what you're going to do. If it then takes you a year to kind of come back to them with, oh, okay, cool, we're ready to kind of close now, they've completely forgotten about you, or they've bought a house and they're not liquid anymore, or they've kind of invested into a different fund because you took ages. And Hub is there to kind of be like, hey, this pact is about to expire. You know what I mean? So it kind of like really helps to keep you on your toes towards the fundraise, which I think is really cool. And then I don't even know where to begin with SL base. So I don't know about the Japanese translation, but I'm originally from Greece and I've tested it with Greek emails and they're insane. They're kind of better than whatever I could have written. And you know, you can even, another really cool thing that a lot of the managers we work with at VC Lab do is that they'll put objections that they get from the LPs into Decel base, and Decel base will help them kind of counter the objections or the tough questions. And that's so cool.
That's such a good point that I did not touch on. It is an incredible fundraising assistance tool. You can copy and paste that email in and say, how would you suggest I respond? You can even say at the end, ask for, coffee on Wednesday, and all of that just makes your life so much easier. It's a really great call out, Myrto.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing. And for everyone here, we will get into questions, but I just kind of wanted to wrap this section up just by saying, you know, if you're interested in the fast track, if you want to do the pre-curriculum, I think even if you know, a lot of you here are probably, you know, eligible to get into the program without the fast track. But I do encourage you guys to try the pre-curriculum to kind of get on Desktop Hub, start using the platform. And you know, I really encourage you to do that anyway. So I just want to talk about how this kind of process is going to work for all of you who are interested. So, you know, we've linked, and we can link it again, the pre-curriculum in the chat. Obviously, you know, the part of the pre-curriculum asks you to actually go out and get hard commitments through PACTs. You can send out PACTs without Decel Hub because we have those available. We can re-link the kind of PACT resource that we have on our website that's available to all, whether you're kind of Hub users or not. And you can send the PACT out via PDF or like a DocuSign or something like this. But Hub just makes it so much easier because you can just share a link to the LP. But also on the LP because it's just click, sign, right? Instead of like, if you send out a PDF, then you have to kind of like change the fields and then kind of put it into DocuSign and then send it by email. And then on the LP side, they're like, oh, if it's PDF, well, great. I need to kind of like do a digital signature of, you know what I mean? So it just makes your life easier, but you don't have to do it. So, you know, you can find the PACT template and you can customize it and start using that if you like. But if you want to do the pre-curriculum with Decel Hub, you need to opt in to get early access to Hub. And there's a question about this in the chat, you know, what's the cost of Decel Hub? It's completely free. You know, we're giving this out to kind of all the managers that we're working with. And you know, if you guys are gonna do the pre-curriculum and you would like to start setting your firms up on Hub, then you know, you just need to kind of it's 3 questions on the form, submit the form. The form is on Hub as well, by the way. So you can also send out forms in Hubs, which is again just kind of like a whole other group of really cool features here. But submit the form if you want early access, and then just kind of bear with us until we get you an invitation code. And we'll kind of send you instructions on how to set up your account, but it's going to be super easy. We'll send you a link, you add the invitation code, and then you get free access. And that's until indefinitely, right? You know, there are no plans whatsoever starting to charge for Hub. And any of you who kind of sign up now, this is going to stay indefinitely free for you. And also we always get this, oh, you know, if I want to switch to a different platform, can I like export my data? Yes, you can do that super easily. We're not here to kind of like lock you. We're not a SaaS company, really. We're kind of in the business of powering venture capital firms. So you don't have to worry about that either. Great. Anything else, Brett, that you would cover before we go into the Q&A?
I think that's everything. Thanks so much.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so here we have do you guys work with emerging holding investment companies or just VC firms? We work, yeah, with VC firms, Neil. So hopefully that helps. Uh, I'll get back to this one later. What VC funds do you accept? We're launching a fund to invest in lower mid-market using search fund vehicles. Would that qualify? I'm not, Enrico. Do you want to send details about your kind of firm structure into just a reply to any email we would have sent you? And we'll kind of have a look at that for you because I'm not really sure at the top of my head here. Um, Same with investment clubs. I'm not entirely sure what this is. If this is kind of like an angel group, then yeah, you would qualify for VC Lab and the program would be appropriate for you. Um, okay, what is the pricing for Desktop Hub? There we go. We got the question and we've already covered it. Um, for the pre-curriculum, does each confident need to pledge 100K minimum or just the total amongst several confidents should be 100K? So ideally, guys, we want you to kind of reach a total of 100K in hard commitments by kind of the start of VC Lab Cohort 15. So that's your kind of deadline there. And but you know, you don't want LPs who are too small. You know, the minimum LP ticket should be 50K really, because anything, and that's 50K with like a lot of caveats of like they actually, you know, so 100K is kind of your normal minimum for an LP, and that's LPs who you will kind of send a lot of, you know, you'll kind of be in frequent contact with, that you're going to invite to the dinners, that they can kind of contact you with any questions and stuff like that. And that's 100K. And that just barely kind of makes it kind of, you know, a profitable investment, because with every kind of LP that comes into the fund, that's more management on your side, and that's more kind of cost, and that's more resource that's required. And so kind of below that 100K with that level of kind of service to an LP, it just, you're kind of losing money on the LP really. So 100K per LP is kind of what you should be aiming for. We did, however, kind of create a new type of LP, the contributor, and Shayla, maybe we can add the link of the kind of details of the contributor LP, and that's an LP that would come in at 50K. So it's below the 100K threshold, and that's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like saying to an LP, you know, you want to come at 50K, that's like half the minimum commitment. And so we can only do that if we don't invite you to the dinners. You can't expect us to be kind of on call 24/7. You'll be getting like all the regular kind of LP updates that we send to everyone, but you can't like expect a level of, you know, kind of service that someone coming in at 100K or more is going to get. So hopefully that adds a little bit of context here. But yeah, for the pre-curriculum, if you get one pact of 100K, then you should be good. But obviously, you know, we're also looking at your work. We're looking at who signed the pact. And this is actually a really good point, guys. Don't sign your own pacts. That's not going to work to get you through to the pre-curriculum. In fact, you know, when we are working with the managers at VC Lab or beyond at Desol Partners, Brett, you're working with a lot of the partners as well. We never, I mean, it's great if you have money to put into your own fund, and it, you know, it means that you believe in it and it shows a good signal to LPs, but we'll never look at your personal commitment or kind of your mom's commitment or kind of like a close family commitment as kind of validation that the market wants what you are building, right? So it's not because your spouse, for example, signed a pact that the market wants this. Your spouse probably signed a pact because they love you and they, want to make you happy. But you really, it's got to be external commitments. So we're going to be looking at all of that. So if you're a first-time fund manager with an investment thesis and doing initial outreach, which program is more suitable, the fast track or cohort 15? So Maurice, the fast track gets you into cohort 15, and cohort 15 is the program. The pre-curriculum is just something that you do in your own time before the program starts to kind of get you ready and also give you, kind of fast track you to kind of get top priority in the admissions stage. So yeah, cohort 15 is the program. It sounds like you're exactly at that stage of managers that we're working with. So please apply, and it'd be great to work with you. Okay, I have a question about communication. I hear that we should not have a website for the fund until it's ready, but what about communications on LinkedIn, etc.? Guys, if you're gonna do that, if you haven't closed your first fund in kind of most places in the world, you having a website, doing a LinkedIn post, going to an event and talking about your fund, you're breaking the law, and there's very kind of serious repercussions if you actually, if this kind of progresses and some, you just don't want to go there. It could, in some places in the world, if you, that's called general solicitation, by the way. So it's kind of that you're marketing your firm or your opportunity to invest in securities to the public, for who you don't know who is a qualified investor and isn't, or who isn't. And so, yeah, you definitely don't want to open a website or do a LinkedIn post or anything like that. You can only do that once you've closed your entire first fund. So not even after your first close can you kind of go out publicly about your fund. So please don't do that. And you don't want to be doing that, right? Because like if you're starting a venture capital firm, it's because you have amazing access to deals. It's because you have this huge network of partners that are helping your portfolio companies to get to the next level of growth. It's because you have a network of co-investors that are going to be investing in all the follow-on rounds of your start. It's not because you did a brilliant marketing campaign on LinkedIn and went viral that people are going to want to invest in you. This is a very, venture capital is a very kind of exclusive opportunity type of business, and you're the prize. And you're going to be talking to LPs one-to-one, and you're going to be creating those relationships, and that's the only way that you're going to start getting commitment into the fund. So no general solicitation for anyone here. Does the program accept Canadian private equity funds? No, we don't work with private equity. Enrico, so it's just for venture capital firms. Decel Hub, okay, Brett, this one's for you. Does Decel Hub manage the portfolio companies too?
Yes, resounding yes, in a lot of ways that are super exciting. There's a first pipeline for both deal and like portfolio, which means like deployed capital portfolio companies. But one of the most useful, I think, features of Decel Hub is the deal memo process, where we have this entire flow associated with fund managers submitting deal memos to our deal review team. And that's just been an incredible resource for emerging fund managers, those with more experience as well. So we not only provide like tracking and all of that good stuff, but also this like deal memo aspect, which is just incredible.
Amazing, amazing. And there's so much development on that side of things as well, isn't there? there's really exciting things coming.
Yeah, one of the things we're looking forward to using the form functionality in Hub is to be able to request valuation updates from existing portfolio companies, again, making your life easier as a fund manager so you don't have to always, quarterly reach out to your company, say like, hey, any markups, that kind of thing. And we're always thinking like that, just like how can we improve the experience and make it easier to, you know, raise funds.
Amazing. Pravin is asking, would it be reasonable to inform LPs of the progress you're making in terms of commitments to the fund to create momentum, or is this considered, I think there's a typo there. Anyway, I wouldn't be like too specific. I think you want to tell them that, fundraising is going well and so on and so forth. I don't think you want to necessarily kind of talk about the figures or talk about who else is coming in versus not coming in. This is kind of like it gets you into a bit of a tricky area. You're kind of, let's say, LP X or Y came into the fund, and now you're kind of telling everyone that X or Y, has agreed to invest in your fund. Well, some LPs might not like this person, so might not want to be associated with a fund that they've also invested in. And so, yeah, that's not something that you want to do. And then in terms of kind of LPs, what you want to be doing in instead of just kind of giving them an update of like, oh, now I've raised this much and now I've kind of gotten this many packs and stuff like that, you want to kind of whilst you're going out and getting the commitments that you need, which is about, you need approximately 1 million impact to initiate the process of the first close. And that kind of includes setting up kind of your firm as a legal entity. So doing the fund formation and then opening a bank account, sending out the LPs to the LPs that have signed packs, getting those LPs back, and there's a ton of kind of like process there. So whilst you're doing all of this with all the LPs that you're speaking to or that have come into the fund, you want to be giving them kind of updates. So what you want to do is start maybe a newsletter, maybe kind of set up some dinners, some LP dinners, where you invite only your kind of LPs. And then you want to kind of give positive updates about your progress, about kind of the deals that you're seeing, or kind of deals that you're warehousing into the fund, or just kind of like positive updates to kind of make sure that you stay top of mind, and that they understand that you're kind of everywhere, you're owning the space, everyone, you're connected to everyone, and everyone around you is doing great. So that's how you want to handle that, Pravin. Okay, this one's for you, Brett. Any future plans to include capital calls and deployment through Decel Hub?
Ooh, so we do absolutely have the capital call process native within Decel Hub. In terms of capital deployment, we don't have like bank interlinked where you can initiate a wire through Decel Hub. Reason being is that we have a lot of flexibility where, of course, we have banking partners that we recommend and suggest, but you can work with other banks as well. And we really want you as a fund manager to fully own that process. So that won't be like sending us the wire instructions for the portfolio company and having us initiate the wire. Rather, it'd be like you going into the bank account and like entering that thing there, which is great because then you know exactly when the wire is leaving. You don't have to like contact anyone else. You have the onus and the power as the fund manager to deploy that capital when the time comes.
Yeah, yeah, and Lorena, so you're asking what's the difference between cohort 15 and the venture residency? Okay, so VC Lab cohort 15 is a closing program. So only if you are ready to launch a firm, a venture capital firm, do you go into VC Lab cohort 15. And we help you kind of keep increasing your levels of hard commitment until you get enough to get to a first close. And then we kind of help you through this whole process, basically. The venture residency is part of our Venture Institute program, which is separate to VC Lab. Our Venture Institute program, we launched it because we saw that there's a lot of you guys out there that want to learn about venture capital. and all the courses out there on venture capital are extremely expensive, excuse me. And so we created Venture Institute, and it's completely for free. And we have kind of some of the top people in venture capital mentoring you, doing kind of weekly webinars. We have a great curriculum program that's meant to kind of show you all the different aspects of how venture capital works. And then for the top people in every Venture Institute intake, we offer them a residency. And this is an opportunity for them to become a resident in one of our partner firms from within the community. And they get to apply everything they've learned throughout the learning program at Venture Institute into a real life situation. They get to form relationships with the future's kind of top venture capital fund managers, which is really cool. And some of them kind of extend the relationship further and, get a job there and stuff like that. So for all of you guys looking to learn about venture capital or would like a career in venture capital, not necessarily launch your own firm, Venture Institute is the program for you. Would we still need a lawyer to review each investment contract with LPs and portfolio companies, or are the templates in the system sufficient? Brett, do you want to take this?
Yeah, so if you're talking about like when the time comes to sign an LPA, oftentimes the LPs may work with a lawyer to review the terms of the LPA. That being said, the LPA that we work with fund managers to develop based on a template is written in a way that is very easily readable for LPs across the board so that they don't necessarily have to consult a lawyer. But if we're discussing sort of investment contracts with portfolio companies, like something like a safe document, for instance, our deal memo, deal review team, that's a huge part of that process, reviewing investment documentation to ensure there's nothing, out of the ordinary added in there. But that is at will. Of course, we recommend submitting to deal memos. You don't have to. And you know, we don't generally recommend a lawyer reviewing each investment contract with LPs. But LPs sometimes wish to engage a lawyer.
Amazing. Thank you, Brett. I just realized this takes us to the top of the hour. This has flown by so quickly. So everyone, thank you so much for being here. This was amazing. We're looking forward to kind of receiving your applications and your opt-ins to kind of get early access to Decel Hub and start kind of seeing your pre-curriculums come in. And yeah, we hope you found this insightful as well. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you all very soon.